Is hockey back? I don't know. They might cancel it up north, up in Canada way. Meantime, in these United States, I am stunned that people are busting to the degree that they are. Hi and hello, sports fans. This is not. What's that? Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant. I said what I said, Roy. Congratulations on the live show yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Festive stuff, obviously, if you were rooting for the red, white, and blue. Amin, what's happening, man? Oh, you are properly attired, wearing perhaps the greatest American sports hero ever, Apollo Creed, the Count of Monte Fisto.
That's right, the king of sting, the prince of punch. To put into perspective what you're talking about, I went to a watch party at 6 a.m. in Old Town Scottsdale yesterday, and it was packed. And all these people, including friends of mine who I did not know liked hockey.
Closeted hockey fans?
Closeted hockey fans. Or maybe they were just like to experiment a little bit. You know what? You go through that phase. You say, hey, you know what? Let me try this hockey thing.
The deja vu, as far as that goes, is striking. You know, if you watch the Netflix documentary about the U.S. hockey team winning it way back when, and the connection to the here and now, obviously massive differences, NHL players versus a bunch of schoolboys and otherwise, you know, evil Soviets instead of
evil Canadians.
Yep. Well, okay, yeah. The evil Canadians is exactly what you're talking about. But this about hockey, and as a lifelong hockey fan, I am kind of struck by the fact that people do seem to be once again revisiting the sport that is otherwise largely ignored.
So as not a lifelong hockey fan, I think I have a reason for this. Because as I'm watching yesterday, the broadcast, they point out that USA has won the gold in Olympic hockey. Obviously, Lake Placid, the famous one. And then one in like
Squaw Valley, I believe.
1960.
1960. Yep. And that's it. And it blew my mind. I said, what do you mean this is only their third time winning this? This is a massive deal because we're so conditioned that American professional sports, that we must be awesome at it on the international level, right? NBA, we're the best league. Guess what? We win gold in basketball almost every time. And when we don't, something went horribly wrong, right? And so I felt that way. It's like, oh yeah, the NHL's here. I know it's a very international sport, but come on, man. Most of Americans, come on, man. Who else has access to this kind of facilities and stuff? Of course they've won the most gold medals. To find out that yesterday was the third time, I'm like, well, of course. This is like Canada beating us in basketball. Like, yeah, they've got players, but it's like, come on. This isn't their thing.
I guess so. Yeah, that makes some sense, but we're not good at soccer either, right?
No.
So we should be, by that standard, we should be much better in World Cup and otherwise,
well,
right?
We don't have a good professional league, though. That's the point. The idea, the grace that I gave USA Hockey was that because the most elite professional league in all the land is here, clearly we've got to be the best at it. Baseball might be the closest corollary, right? Like where baseball is like, clearly the MLB is far and away the best baseball league in the world. And then the World Baseball Classic, you're like, oh, crap, man.
Seen that Dominican team?
Oh, my gosh.
But Team USA always expects to win. Like, they might not win it every year, but they've gotten to the final most years in the World Baseball Classic. I think they've won it once or twice, but they lost last time around to Japan. They've had great games with the DR. They're the two favorites this year, USA and DR.
Well, the thing that strikes me, too, is you just mentioned the 6 a.m. watch party that you went to, is why was everybody on the East Coast in particular complaining so much about the early start time? I know it's Sunday morning and maybe some people like to sleep in, but who are these people? How late do you sleep on a Sunday? It was 8 a.m. was too much for you?
8 a.m. would have been a dream.
I want a pregame, though. That's the problem. I don't want to just start right at 8. I need to start a couple hours before.
Chris?
Which I did.
I'm going to tell you, the good people of Scottsdale, Arizona started well before the 6 a.m.
Did they even close the previous night?
They had to. It's a 2 a.m. last call, so they had to close. But there were people who had just been going. They just went and just kept it moving from last night all the way into Sunday morning.
I have some friends that went from a strip club establishment to elbow room.
I like
they were at like a strip establishment from 4 to 7:30 a.m. and then left
The
to
way
elbow
that
room.
you set it up seems like you were going to protect
I
them,
was gonna.
and you just like straight up strip club.
A bar establillment.
Did you mean to say like gentleman's
I
establishment?
don't know what I was doing. I got caught up in the air.
All right.
This is the way you can live. Don't you see on the East Coast? This is how we live on the West Coast all the time. Is this now going to be, I don't know if everybody's now going to jump in and on hockey stateside, but is everybody now on the East Coast going to pine to see their sporting events on the weekend start a little earlier? Because once you get used to it, and it doesn't take long, Saturdays and Sundays in football season, that it is the reason to live in the West Coast. You wake up and the football's kicking off at 9 a.m. It's way better than waiting.
Dave, these people over here, I'm not going to say specifics, but these people who work here live in Miami. Sometimes they've got to fly to the West Coast for something. To hear them complain about, oh my God, what are you talking about? Football starts at 10. I'm like, that's the greatest thing ever. You understand? I go through a whole Sunday and be done with Sunday Night Football, and it's like, a reasonable hour.
But now I'm waking up in a panic because it's 9 o'clock and I got an hour. I got to get on my bed set. I got to get my fantasy lineup set. Now, now on the East Coast, I got time, baby.
I would way prefer the West Coast in terms of time slots. To be able to be done with Sunday Night Football and still be able to, like, do something with the rest of my night would be incredible.
No. What I want to do is I want to crawl into my bed unshowered at about 11:45, 12 o'clock at night. My wife's like, you've been watching football all day. And I'm like, I know. I exactly know. Because I get to get out of things like, oh, we've got dinner with these people tonight. You're done with football at 7:30, right? And I'm like, yeah, 8 o'clock, we've got this dinner. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to watch Bengals-Lions.
Late dinner for Sunday night.
Hold up. How old are we, guys? Come on. Like, what are we doing? That was one of the best international sports moments in American history. It was the first Olympic gold medal on the men's side of my lifetime. We finally conquered the Canadians. It was a walk-off, game-winning goal from Jack Hughes, an incredible moment in which the Canadians, arguably, I know many of them are saying it, they outplayed the U.S. in this game, and yet it's one of the rare sports that the United States gets to be a scrappy underdog. They finally knocked Canada off the top of the mountain. That was incredible yesterday. What are we talking about with 8 a.m. call times and 6 a.m. call times?
You're right. I got distracted there. Please, guy in the NHL hat, which is ironic since the NHL proper doesn't really like their players going off to play in the Olympics, but the players themselves did, and it was a joyous event. I am surprised, Mike, by the reaction. I'm usually surprised by major news events, how big they get, and I am surprised over the last 24 hours by the national reaction. I had no idea it would be this significant. It seems to have obscured the entire 2 weeks of the Olympics otherwise.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not even sure how many people know how long the NHL players have been away from this competition, but the last moment that we saw of these players on Olympic ice, I believe, was that incredible overtime winner in Vancouver, and Canada wins the gold. And then last year, you had the brilliant stroke of the four nations that really set the table up for this moment. You had the Battle of Montreal that the United States won, but, Canada wins ultimately in the end. I think with this core, you had a nice story, table set so wonderfully by the four nations, that you kind of knew the players when it came to this game. You knew what was on the line. It was embedded. Even like the people that follow the sport as tangentially as possible kind of knew the deal headed into yesterday. And I thought it was an incredible moment, the game winner, the game itself. And, of course, for those that have a deep interest in U.S. hockey and go back with this team some, the Johnny Gaudreau stuff, even there were plenty of, moms that had no idea about the story that were crying by the time that Gaudreau's kids hit the ice and the jersey was there. It was just an incredible moment.
I had a different experience because, some of these names, obviously I knew about the bad blood from the four nations, from you guys prattling incessantly about it, but I recognized most of the names, a lot of the names. Obviously, my man Brad Marchand and guys like that. I
love how you're like, I know all the names and you struggle to find one.
Not all the names. I recognize a lot of names. The best player to me was the goalie, and I'm like, who he played for?
Winnipeg.
I've never heard that name once on this show. Not once. This dude is incredible.
Because you never get past the second round.
Yeah, Hellebuck has been in Vezina conversations, goalie of the year. But yeah, we're not getting in deep on Winnipeg Jets hockey here on this show. But he was phenomenal. The save that he made on Taves with the stick, it was just an unreal.
He was incredible. But to me, the corollary, I always try to translate things in basketball. It's like, okay, we don't get deep on Minnesota Timberwolves basketball here. But, like, I say Anthony Edwards. I'm like, yeah, we all know who he is. And, like, for that name, I'm like, this guy's amazing. We've never talked about him once on the show.
Well,
like,
but Hellebuck and Austin Matthews both get to wash off the stink of not being able to win in a big spot. Not true for Connor McJesus, who continues. I know he wins the Four Nations last year, but this is now becoming a career-long plague of this guy no-showing in big spots. And somehow he still got, just like he got the Conn Smythe against the Florida Panthers in a
I thought that was the internet trolling me. He actually won MVP of the Olympics?
Yeah, the IIHF.
That was
MVP
I thought they were just doing the thing of like the way he won.
0 points and had a breakaway in the gold medal game. Big spot. He forgot to shoot the puck. Literally.
Too many
if you
dekes.
watch it,
He like 7 deked.
Yeah, if you watch the play, like, yeah, he was so busy trying to cast a spell on Hellebuck, he cast a spell on himself and forgot to shoot the puck and just ran it right into his pads. That was 0 points. MVP of the tournament? What were we doing? That was wild.
because they do the whole tournament. Like, we're conditioned here that the MVP is like the guy in the last game who killed it. And a lot of these international.
He was on the losing team, too.
Does
that matter as well?
They do it for the whole tournament. That's how.
Well, not only do they do it for the whole tournament, the vote comes in during the first intermission.
Which is insane, Roy, right?
I mean, you got a finite amount of time to get this vote in and do the tabulations.
So to be clear, let's just assume like Team USA was down 6 going into the third, and then one player scores 7 goals in the third. He doesn't win MVP.
Then they do a revote. They have that in writing. If that happens, they do a revote.
That's wild.
You just made that up.
How tough are the language issues that you have to submit your vote 2 periods in advance of the end of the game?
Well, they got to translate everyone's answer. Like, wait, what's that say?
I think it's bordering on funny right now because Connor McDavid, considered by many to be arguably on track to be the greatest player of all time. I understand. We'll talk about the Sidney Crosby stuff.
How could he be the greatest player of all time?
Right, but everyone
give me some names.
Everyone points to him and says that's a guy right now, and for whatever
talented
reason, when there are these huge moments, he looks across the ice and he sees a player that's a lesser player than him, certainly
So slow. Matthew
a
Tkachuk.
far less talented skater than him, and this Matthew Tkachuk thorn in his side is just there constantly.
At 11.
Florida's gonna, right now, probably in all likelihood, gonna miss the playoffs because they've been so hurt. But Matthew Tkachuk just continues this unreal run, back-to-back Stanley Cups. Oh, this is a down year. I'll win gold for the first time since 1980. They're gonna be partying across the street.
Are they at 11 right now?
They're gonna be at 11
Tonight.
later tonight.
Of all the NHL brands out there, the greatest winner is probably the Florida Panthers, right? Because you guys are now, you're still basking in the glow of your cups and everything, and it just completely erases the fact that you're going to be watching the NHL playoffs this year from home, right?
Well, Bill Zito was the assistant general manager for Team USA as well. So
There was that, and Seth Jones was named to the initial roster, but I had to stay home because of injury. I think the true testament to the Florida Panthers here is that their gold medal celebration, I know there was a blizzard in the Northeast that probably altered plans, but after New York shut down, they're like, well, the Panthers celebrations at 11 look plenty fun. That seems like a great, proper hockey town. This is where we're going to celebrate our first hockey men's gold medal since 1980, 11 nightclub in Miami. That is how the Florida Panthers have changed hockey.
Buddy, where else would they go? Why would they go anywhere else, even if there wasn't a blizzard? Are you kidding me? Hey, guys, we can either go to Miami or go to New York and bundle up some more. We've been cold for the last month over there in Milan or Fortina or wherever the hell they play those games. You gonna make me come over here and freeze my ass a little bit more? No, I want some sunshine.
You just described what's happening to the NHL over the last half decade too. Edmonton, Calgary, or Florida.
Winnipeg.
This is what the farm boys up there continue to think. Mike and everybody else in there. I'm fascinated, obviously, by the context that history gives us with these things. So I try not to lionize the past too much, but I also try not to over-celebrate the here and now. Mike Eruzione is a name, I think. In fact, I brought it up last Friday. Everybody who doesn't care about hockey, I think, can put the asterisk and say, at least I know who Mike Eruzione is.
Of course I do.
Right?
But Jeremy doesn't know. So can you explain it to Jeremy?
crying out loud.
everybody knows Eruzione. Is the same true 40 years, 50 years from now with Jack Hughes? Is he now a legend for all of time with American sports fans?
Yeah, well, I don't know if everybody knows the name Michael Eruzione. Like, we're sports fans. We know the name Michael Eruzione. So I think within these circles, yes, I do think that Jack Hughes is going to have a name and a moment that is going to ring eternal, no doubt.
He's got that picture with the teeth. That's the one, right?
Did that happen banging into the board?
No, it was
a
a
high stick by Sam Bennett.
Because did you see
Sam Bennett? That's the name I know.
The whole team, his celebration into the boards. I thought his face like just got smashed. I guess it makes more sense.
No, it's a double minor that Benny got.
Oh, that double minor.
Jack Hughes.
Oh.
Juice.
It felt like after we made the kill, we had 5-on-3 against us in the second period. From that point on, we got dominated. The fact that we got to overtime, it could have been 4-1. That second half of that game.
Well, the irony with the 3-on-3 and it going to overtime, and you could see this cloud, this black cloud gathering as it got closer and closer, and people for at least a week were complaining about the 3-on-3 solution.
Bet you Canada is right now.
Well, they picked it up before it even started. But the irony of that is, I will say, without getting too deep in the weeds on specifically the puck, is the three that they threw out there are better than anyone that the U.S. could possibly conjure to put out there. And those are the three guys that were on the ice for the game-losing goal from Canada's side. I mean, they had Makar, who is in the conversation, if you aren't aware of Cale Makar, is in the conversation or will be by the time he retires as one of the three best defensemen in the history of the sport.
Absolutely.
You have McJesus out there and you have McKinnon out there, and those are the three that were out there when Jack Hughes scored that goal.
McKinnon missing that wide open net. McAvoy behind Hellebuck saving that puck from going across the line. Awesome moments in this game.
Hockey purists, what is more offensive, the 3-on-3 in overtime or the golden goal rule in overtime?
What's the golden goal?
The golden goal will always exist, which is
it's always been a golden goal in
overtime. It's always a walk-off goal. Yeah, whoever scores a goal in overtime.
What was the one when TJ Oshie scored on penalty shots?
Where
that was worse.
Where you keep sending the same guy out on penalty shots.
That was worse. That was a worse.
It was a great moment for Oshie.
It was neat looking, but it was an unsatisfying way. Same as the World Cup is to end on PKs. And I'm not a soccer fan, but I can see why that stinks.
Hockey purist question part 2. When did the rink shrink? Didn't it used to be
just
massive?
In the Olympics.
Yeah,
the Olympics used to be massive. Mm-hmm. It used to be massive. That's why Wilbon used to love the Olympics.
Honestly, it kind of neutralized a bit of an advantage that Canada has because they have much better skaters. Whereas if you shrink the rink, I mean, the Tkachuk's brothers' inability to skate seems a lot less visible.
This is one of the signature moments of this millennium for sports fans, I think. I hate to be a curmudgeon.
No, you don't.
I feel like you love to be that.
You love being a curmudgeon.
Love part of your DNA.
That's right down your
Mike
lane.
Fuentes says you're a hater. You hate everything.
Tony, incorrect. I don't want to be that. This is what the world does to me. Don't you see? I want to be a ray of sunshine, you know? But I can't help it. The facts go against my ability to do that. I think that I have to just say, on a short list, and we'll get into it in a little bit, one of the worst calls of a classic sports moment that I've ever sort of experienced. I was like, wait, what? That's in, right? I mean, before, I can't feel like the puck is in the net before the play-by-play guy acknowledges the puck is in the net and the tournament is over and the USA has won. It was underwhelming, to say the least, that moment. Nevertheless, the Jack Hughes goal is going to stand. You don't know if Jack Hughes' name is going to resonate decades from now.
I think it will. Because that's going to be a highlight. That's always like they won on a walk-off against their arch rival when they weren't expected to do so, and Jack Hughes was at the center of it. And he's a pretty good player. He's a young player. He's got to stick around the pros for a long time. Every time that his name is brought up in the mainstream sports media, that moment will follow him shortly thereafter, I think.